So you're thinking about relocating to the Seattle area? And if so, you're probably wondering, how much does it cost to live in the Seattle area? You know, it's pretty easy to jump online and find out what the cost of housing is in the Seattle area. We cover that a lot on this channel, but what might not be so easy for you to find is the cost of those everyday items that you're buying at the grocery store, you know, usually on a weekly basis. And what I want to do is help you out with that today. You know, you might not be paying that big of a difference right now compared to where you're coming from, but you know, little differences over time can become big differences. So just want to make sure you're aware of what you're getting into as far as cost of living, cost of groceries. So what I've decided to do today is I've jumped in the car. It's kind of rainy out. That's why we're shooting from the car today. Usually we're outside, out and about, but want to stay dry. So what we're going to do is go to 3 different popular local grocery store chains here in the Seattle area. We're going to do Whole Foods, we're going to do QFC, and then we're also going to do Safeway. So 3 really good, really popular stores here in the Seattle area. And then I'm going to take a look at 20 to 25 different commonly purchased items that you're usually going to be buying on a regular basis. And we're going to total those all up. We're going to look at which store is the cheapest when it comes to totaling all those items up. Now, just because it's the cheapest obviously doesn't mean it's the best, but just to kind of give you an idea of what those items are going to cost you on a regular basis. So that's what we're going to do today. If that sounds interesting to you, let's get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything about living in Seattle, Washington, then subscribe down below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Seattle. My name is David Sappenfield. The team and I, we get calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you looking for help to make their move here to Seattle. So whether you're moving next week or next year, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Seattle. So I'm back in the office here. Made 3 trips to the 3 different stores that we were talking about earlier. So the first store I went to was the Whole Foods Market. Second store was QFC, or Quality Food Centers. And the third store was Safeway. So as I was saying, all 3 of these stores are popular chains in the Seattle area. Probably nationally for Whole Foods, I'm assuming, but where most people go to shop is where I wanted to focus on. Lots of other little bargain stores, maybe at a lower price point, but I just kind of picked the 3 average ones that most people frequent. So let's jump into the numbers without wasting any more time here. But I just went through and compared, I think it was 25 items that are most commonly purchased. And we'll get into those right now. So the first item that I wanted to compare was milk. And just looked at a gallon of milk, and Safeway came in at $3.99. QFC was actually the cheapest at $3.69, and Whole Foods was $3.99, same as Safeway. So QFC for that one gets the cheapest. Item number 2 was eggs. So we just looked at a 12-pack of the basic, pretty much the cheapest eggs that they offered at each respective store, and Safeway and QFC both came in at $2.99 for a carton of 12 eggs. Whole Foods a little bit higher at $3.69. Moving on, bread, of course, bread, that's a popular item. Safeway had theirs for $5.79. QFC was 10 cents cheaper at $5.69, and Whole Foods was also $5.79. But one one major difference between these three was Safeway was offering a buy one get one sale on their bread. So basically for $5.79 you were getting 2 loaves of bread instead of the one. You know, obviously they don't have that deal all the time. Maybe they just had some overstock they had to get rid of, but in this scenario you could have got 2 for 1. Moving on, we have breakfast cereal. Everybody knows and loves Cheerios. Safeway was actually the most expensive for the smallest box of Cheerios that I compared with all 3 stores, and they came in at $6.49, $3.99 for QFC, and Whole Foods also was $3.99. Another thing that we want to point out here is that Safeway also had their giant like family size box for $6.49. So and I'm pretty sure if you compare those giant boxes to the other 2 stores, Safeway is more than likely going to come out ahead in that situation as well. But just for those smaller boxes is what we were looking at numbers wise for those 3. Moving on, we have just block cheese. If you have tried Tillamook before, I highly recommend Tillamook. I know it's like a local Oregon kind of West Coast company, so you might not have heard of it or had it before, but Tillamook products are hands down number 1. They're incredible. Gotta love them, gotta try them. Pretty sure you'll feel the same way. But so I compared Tillamook cheese, just little blocks of cheese, the smallest ones they have. All 3 stores actually came in at the exact same price, and that was at $4.99. I'm not sure if the manufacturer has an agreement with all these stores or not. They want to keep the prices the same, but they all happen to come in the same, and that was the only product that happened for was the cheese. Moving on, beer. Beer was $15.99 at Safeway. QFC, it was $13.99. And Whole Foods, it was also $15.99. And I just compared the, probably the most popular, I think it was Bud Light, Budweiser, those types of, half racks, 12-ounce cans, 12 of them. So that's about what you're looking at. Now with beer and liquor, this is probably the biggest kind of shock or difference that you're going to notice, potentially from whatever state you're coming from. Washington State has the highest liquor tax in the whole nation. So I think it's like $33 per gallon. They're taxed for liquor sales here in Washington. So probably something you're not used to, and you'll need to make an adjustment when pricing that sort of stuff. But yeah, that is going to be we're the most expensive state in the nation when it comes to liquor sales. So just a heads up on that. Speaking of liquor, wanted to compare Fifth of vodka, Tito's. I think that's a pretty popular brand. For Safeway, Tito's was $18.99 for a fifth. For QFC, it was $19.99, and Whole Foods was $20.99. And now, if you stick around till the end of the video, I'll show you where you can go to save money on most of these products. But, for now, let's just focus on these stores and see what the numbers are going to say. Okay, moving on to just bottled water. If you're buying water that way, you're going to be looking around $3.49 at Safeway. You're looking at $3.99 at QFC, and Whole Foods was more expensive by far, which was kind of surprising. They were at $6.29 for 24 bottles, 16.9 ounces each. Sparkling water, if you like that, like the brand that I compared was LaCroix, one of the more popular brands, really good. LaCroix was $3.99 at Safeway. It was $4.49 at QFC and $6.39 at Whole Foods. Now, it wasn't an exact comparison or a kind of an apples to apples comparison, because Safeway and QFC sold only the 8-packs of LaCroix. Whole Foods actually had the full 12-pack, so you get another 4. But when you break it down to a per can, price, per unit, then Safeway and QFC are going to come out ahead in those categories as well. Okay, moving on to cookies. So everybody loves Oreos. That's what I compared. For Safeway and QFC, they were both the same price at $4.99. I think they were for 19 or 20 ounce packages of the Oreos. And Whole Foods is a little bit different with a lot of their products. They have like their own store brand. It's like Whole Foods 365, and sometimes they won't carry kind of the most well-known brands, for example, Oreos. But there's a lot of products that they don't offer, but they will fill that in and helps them stay competitive price-wise by offering their own store brand. So that's the case for the cookies that I compared. They have like a generic brand of Oreos, and that came in at $3.99. So cheaper. But is it as good as an Oreo? I don't know. I've actually never bought those before. But usually Whole Foods brand is pretty solid. But just hard to say with each individual item that you're testing it against. But bananas. So going from something not so healthy, we're going to move into a little bit healthier here. Bananas, you're looking at 69 cents per pound at Safeway. At QFC, we're looking at 75 cents per pound. And at Whole Foods, they actually came in the cheapest. They were at 59 cents per pound. Potatoes, just kind of like russet baking potatoes, they were $1.19 per pound at Safeway. At QFC, most expensive at QFC is $1.49, and Whole Foods checked in at $1.29 per pound for potatoes. Coffee, I had to compare a brand that all 3 stores carried, and Pete's was the brand that was consistent amongst the 3, so that's what I compared. I've never had Pete's, so I don't know if it's any good, but it's pretty popular, so they had it at all 3 stores, so that's what we went with. But Safeway was offering $6.99 for the Pete's coffee, $7.99 at QFC, and the highest again is at Whole Foods for $9.99. All 3 of them, I believe, were offering sales, but Safeway checked in with the cheapest option for the coffee. Chips, we compared all 3 stores had the same brand of chips. We went with the kettle cooked, the Kettle brand of chips. Super good. If you haven't tried those, by the way, really, really good. I highly recommend. Safeway was $4.79 for, kind of the smaller, not the family's party size bags, but kind of the standard size bag of chips, $4.79. QFC, they were $3.49, so cheapest at QFC. And Whole Foods was $3.79. And then comparing ground beef, this is a per pound comparison, so price by pound again. Safeway was the cheapest. They came in at $5.49 per pound. QFC, most expensive by far, which was $8.49 per pound. And Whole Foods was $6.49 per pound. And then I wanted to compare hot dogs. Safeway hot dogs were $5.49. QFC was a lot more expensive at $8.79 for the same hot dogs that Safeway had. And then Whole Foods, they didn't actually have the brand that Safeway and QFC did, so I had to go with just kind of what they had. They had limited options as far as hot dogs go, but they were $8.99, so a little bit more expensive, and but not an exact comparison, but just to kind of give you an idea of what they had. Peanut butter for Safeway, peanut butter was $5.69. It was also $5.69 at QFC. And this is where Whole Foods kind of comes in and really kind of stays competitive with their 365 store brand that they offer. They were $4.39, and I think it was a little bit of a smaller container, but it's organic peanut butter. It's good quality stuff. So Whole Foods kind of gets the check mark on the peanut butter. Mayonnaise, kind of the same situation. Safeway was $6.49 for the jar. QFC was $5.99, and it was $4.99 at Whole Foods. So again, that generic store brand, the 365, was helping them stay competitive on that. So not an exact comparison, but that's what it is. Moving on to ice cream. So just wanted to compare ice cream that all three stores had. Ben & Jerry's, popular brand. I was able to see that in all three stores. Safeway came in the cheapest with Ben & Jerry's at $4.99 for a pint, $5.99 for QFC, and $5.99 for Whole Foods. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're buying those kind of pint-size ice creams at stores, with inflation and prices going up, a lot of companies are reducing the amounts of product that you're receiving. They're either raising prices, making it more expensive, or reducing the amount of product that you actually get. And that's definitely the case in the ice cream world. You used to get a pint. Now sometimes it'll knock it down to 14 ounces or just be a 2 or 3 ounces shy of what you were expecting to get. So keep in mind, Ben & Jerry's is one of the manufacturers that has stayed true to the pint game. So just a little tip for you there on the ice cream. Cream cheese. So I compared Philadelphia cream cheese to Safeway and QFC. Those are probably the most popular brands of cream cheese. $3.69 at Safeway. It was $4.49 at QFC, and Whole Foods did not carry the Philadelphia brand, but they have their store brand 365, and that checked in at $2.79. So the cheapest there. Is it the best? I don't know. I haven't tried their store brand, but you can get it for cheaper at Whole Foods. Butter, another common item. I compared kind of the store brand, and Safeway doesn't have a store brand, but Lucerne was kind of their bottom shelf, bottom of the price point for butter, and they came in at $4.79. QFC has their own brand. They came in at $4.79 as well, and Whole Foods has their 365 generic brand, and that was at $4.49. So Whole Foods got the lowest for the butter. So you'll notice, those store brands is kind of what keeps them competitive when you're totaling up the whole bill at the end of the day. Okay, moving on to steak. So I wanted to compare, I looked at what all three stores had, and it was boneless ribeye. So that was a good comparison. Safeway had a pretty good sale going on. It was $14.99 a pound for their boneless ribeye. QFC was checking in at $18.99 a pound, as well as Whole Foods was also $18.99 a pound. So Safeway had that good sale going on, which kind of put them over the top, but they're all kind of three going to be in that same range on a regular any given day. So but we took advantage of the sale, so we're good to go. Orange juice, simply orange. That's a great brand of orange juice. If you like orange juice and haven't tried it, I definitely recommend it. My favorite, really good. All three stores carried it. $4.39 at Safeway. $3.99 at QFC. So QFC came in the cheapest, and Whole Foods was the most expensive at $4.79. And then I wanted to compare chicken breast, and this was again per pound. Safeway came in the cheapest at $5.49 per pound. QFC was $6.99, and Whole Foods was $7.99 per pound. And that is the end of the comparisons, but if we look at the grand total, if we subtotal everything up from each store, now keep in mind, the items that are priced per pound, let's just assume that we bought 1 pound of each item. So a pound of chicken, pound of steak, pound of potatoes. If we're just comparing pounds and keep it simple, I know it's not that simple, but just from a price standpoint, Safeway came in with the cheapest tab at the end of the day, totaling everything up, and they checked in at $146.86. QFC was the next highest, and they checked in at $156.72. And not surprisingly, Whole Foods is the most expensive, which, Whole Foods is a really nice store, but you do pay a premium to shop there. And their grand total was $161.66. So between these 3 stores, it looks like you could save, about $15 by going with Safeway. But, sometimes you're not buying those items and another store might have better sales. But it's just hard to say. You just got to kind of pick that store that you're most comfortable with. What my family does is, we buy a lot of our products that are, kind of the big brand products that aren't going to vary in quality from store to store, like, boxed goods, milk, cheese, stuff like that. We'll usually shop at Safeway for that stuff, if we're not buying it at Costco, which is another tip that I'll get into. But, you save that money on the items that aren't really going to vary in quality. And then that helps me, or makes me feel, I guess, less guilty about paying a little more of a premium for like produce. We usually like to go to like produce stands or like farmers markets, getting a little bit better quality produce from those types of places. And then like with meats, ground beef, steak, chicken, stuff like that, I like to go to butcher shops. Usually, yes, you're paying a little bit more, but if I've saved a good amount of money on the bill by shopping at a store like Safeway, then I feel a little bit better about paying a little bit more for those higher quality products where, the extra money that you're going to put into it, you really do notice a difference. So that is the end of our comparison. But I do have one more tip for you, and that is, probably not shopping at any of these stores for a majority of the stuff that you can buy. I'm guessing you could probably buy at like a Costco, like a big warehouse store, Costco, Sam's Club, stuff like that. So with inflation, food prices going up, the amounts of food that you're getting and paying the same price for, usually the best way to combat that is to buy in bulk. And that's where the Costco, the warehouse stores come into play. So, that's my biggest recommendation is if you can, buy as much as you possibly can from those bigger stores. That's going to save you even more money. You might need a bigger pantry or more storage space, but you know what? We can look for that when we're looking for houses. So, that's my tip for shopping. But, if you're considering making a move and, you're heading this way, gonna make that big move across country, and you have questions and would like to have a conversation, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We're happy to have a conversation with you. Whether you're moving next week, next year, reach out. You can even schedule a Zoom call. All of our contact information is in the description down below. And we're happy to help you make that smooth move to Seattle. And until next time, we hope to show you around town. Take care. Bye.